He sat at the small corner table expecting nothing more than a quiet meal alone. The kind of silence that comes after a long day, where the clinking of cutlery fills the space instead of conversation. But life has a way of interrupting our solitude with purpose. Just as he lifted his first bite, a gentle voice broke through. "My son's hungry. Can we stay a while?" It was a simple question, yet it carried the weight of need, humility, and trust. In that instant, something shifted. What began as an ordinary evening turned into an extraordinary connection between strangers. He didn't hesitate, didn't question. He simply nodded, inviting them to sit. Because sometimes, the most powerful human moments aren't planned. They happen when empathy overrules hesitation. And that night, what could have been loneliness became a quiet reminder that kindness never arrives too late. When the mother softly asked if her hungry son could stay, it wasn't just about finding a place to sit. It was about seeking a moment of compassion in a world that often rushes past need. Her voice carried quiet desperation, yet also hope, trusting that kindness still existed in strangers. And when he said, "Of course," it was such a simple word, but it carried the power to change that evening completely. There was no grand gesture, no dramatic act, just one human being choosing to care. As the icy food was shared, something unspoken filled the air, something deeper than words, a reminder that empathy doesn't require wealth or status, only heart. Sometimes the smallest yes can fill a void that's far greater than hunger. Because true compassion isn't measured by how much we give, but by how quickly we respond when someone needs us most. In a world where people often sit side by side yet remain strangers, that simple shared meal became something extraordinary. There was no judgment, no awkwardness, just two worlds meeting over plates of food. The silence that once felt empty slowly filled with gentle conversation and small smiles. What had begun as an ordinary dinner alone turned into a reminder that connection still lives within us, waiting to be rediscovered. The mother, the child, and the man, all different, yet for that brief moment they were one family bound by kindness. It showed how easily the walls we build around ourselves can crumble when compassion steps in. Sometimes we don't need grand speeches or perfect words to bridge distances, just the courage to open a seat at our table. Because when we choose connection over isolation, we don't just feed a body, we nourish a soul. As the little boy began to eat, his face lit up with a joy so pure it silenced the noise around them. Each bite seemed to carry more than flavor. It carried relief, warmth, and gratitude. His tiny hands held the spoon carefully, as if he knew this moment meant something special. And in his innocent smile, there was a quiet lesson for everyone watching. He didn't thank with fancy words, yet his eyes said, "Everything. Thank you for seeing us, for caring, for sharing." Children have a way of reminding us what truly matters. They don't measure kindness by size or cost. They feel it deeply and honestly. That small boy, through his simple happiness, showed that love isn't complicated. It's as natural as sharing a meal. Sometimes the purest gratitude doesn't come in words, but in a smile that touches your heart and stays there forever. That evening became more than just a shared meal. It became a quiet lesson in what it truly means to be human. No speeches, no cameras, no applause, just a simple act of empathy that spoke louder than words ever could. The man didn't think of himself as a hero. He just saw a need and responded. But that's the beauty of real humanity. It doesn't seek attention, it simply acts. In that moment, he understood that kindness isn't about how much you give, but about being present when someone needs you most. The mother's eyes softened with gratitude. The boy's laughter filled the air, and for a brief while, the world seemed gentler. That night, hearts were fed as much as stomachs, and a spark of hope quietly reignited. Because sometimes the smallest acts leave the deepest marks, reminding us that humanity is most beautiful when it's shared. Long after the plates were cleared and the lights dimmed, the warmth of that moment lingered. The man went home with more than the memory of a meal. He carried a renewed belief in the goodness that still exists in people. The mother's courage, The child's smile and his own quiet choice to care had created a ripple he couldn't see but could surely feel. Maybe that mother would one day help someone else, or that little boy, when grown, would remember how kindness once found him at a dinner table. That's the power of a single act. It doesn't end where it begins. It travels, touching lives we'll never meet. Kindness moves forward, multiplying silently, reminding us that one gentle decision can echo through countless hearts. Because even the smallest gesture done with love can become the beginning of someone else's hope.